Here I am, finding my way to you. I'm tired to walk, I need you more.
We know that Jesus came to reveal to us what Father is really like and to show us the depths of his Father's love. And he gives us many examples, many parables, many stories to show that. And one of the most beautiful ones is in Luke 15, where Jesus tells 3 parables to illustrate the heart of the Father. And it's interesting to look at who he was talking to in telling these parables, because right at the beginning of Luke 15 it just says, now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear him. They all wanted to hear Jesus. But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. And so Jesus comes and tells these 3 parables. And so much of Jesus' teaching, if you look through the Gospels, was aimed at the teachers of the law, the experts of the law, the people who tried to set traps for him to try and catch him out. And Jesus is trying to get a message through here, saying, you are just obsessed with law. And I want to show you there is something better than that. And so he tells these wonderful 3 parables. He tells the story of the lost sheep and the celebration when the one lost sheep is found. And then the parable of the lost coin and the celebration there where the lost coin is found. But then we come to the one that we probably know best, and yet there is so much depth to the whole parable of the lost son or the prodigal son. And in this story we hear of a young son who comes to his father and says, I want independence, I don't want to be here anymore, I don't want to work for you anymore, I want my inheritance now. And the father says, okay, you may have it, just take your inheritance, which is a strange choice by the father. But there's something we need to learn about the heart of God. If this father is representing God, Jesus is using this picture to show what his Father and our Father is like. And so he's trying to show God's heart here. And Father allows this young son to make a very bad choice. He gives him the freedom to make that choice. And off he goes into his life of sin. But then it says that the son comes to his senses when all of the inheritance is gone, it's all wasted. He's been involved in so much sin. But now he chooses to come home. And we read the wonderful story of in Luke 15 verse 17, when the son came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired men have food to spare, and here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father. And he prepares what he's going to say to his father, gets his speech ready. But there's this beautiful bit in the middle of verse 20. It says, the son got up and went to his father, but while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him and kissed him. And this is just such a wonderful image that Jesus is giving us. See, that son had made a very poor choice. He'd chosen a life of sin and gone off into his life of sin. But now he's made a second choice. Now he's chosen to come home to his father. And we have this wonderful picture of while the son was still a long way off, his father saw him. Now, for him to be a long way off and to be seen shows something of the heart of the father who was longing for his son to come home. This is not a father who had dismissed his son and said, you've made your choice, you have to live with it. Not at all. This father never stopped loving his son, even though he knew what his son had done. And the longing of his heart was for his little boy to come home. And the minute he sees that his son is coming home, even right in the distance, almost on the horizon, he is so overwhelmed by joy, he just has to run to welcome his son home. He jumps on him, he embraces him, he kisses him. The son has just come from the pigsty. If ever there was a picture of our sin and our shame and our unworthiness, Here comes this son stinking from the pigsty. And yet the father does not even look at those things. The father is just so overwhelmed by joy that his little boy has chosen to come home. And that's the power of this message. That the father is so totally overwhelmed with delight that his boy's come home. Now his boy's not expecting very much. He's expecting to become one of his workers again. Like he was working in the pigsty, he wants to work for his father, because at least his father looks after his servants very well. But the father's not even listening to this nonsense. The father's not going to make his son into one of his servants. The father is welcoming his son home. And the thing that we need to see is that Father welcomes us home in whatever condition we are in. Whatever we smell like, whatever pigsty our life has been like, Father welcomes us home unconditionally. And that is the power of unconditional love. It's not about what we've done or what we haven't done. It's about the unconditional love of a Father who just longs for his children to come home. And he looks at every one of us like that. He longs for his kids just to come back and to come back into a relationship, to choose relationship with him again. And the last point on this is that why did the father not go looking for the son? Why didn't he go searching for him? Well, there's a key thing we have to learn about the heart of God. He gave us freedom to choose him or to choose to go away from him. And that is a freedom we have. And when the son chooses to go away, the father's not going to stop him making that choice. And the father waits and longs for his boy to come home. But the minute the son makes a second choice, the minute the son chooses to come to father, then the father is free then to run to him and jump on him and embrace him and welcome him home. Because the son's second choice unlocked, set the father free to come running to his little boy. And God gave us that gift of free will. And we can abuse that gift or we can use that gift to bless him. But he wants us to choose him. And whatever our life is like, whatever mess we've made of our life, we can always choose to come home.